Go. African cultural response to slavery and oppression in the Americas and the Caribbean began on the shores of West Africa when captured Africans tried to take African soil into their mouths and sometimes in their hands onto the slave ship. Slavery was a war against African culture, especially against the structure of the African family. Those are the words of the Honorable John Henrik Clarke in Asa Hilliard's powerful piece, African Power. Our medicine and our healing is in our culture, African culture. And to it we must return if we want African black life. Indeed, we pour libation to cleanse us and connect us to our culture, to preserve and serve Ma'at. For we Africans are one lest we forget. Libation is a custom where liquid, usually water, is poured as it represents the essence of life onto a living plant at a shrine on the ground. Indeed, in many ways, as the names of historical and familial ancestors and forces are called, the purpose is to connect the continual chain of our existence, the unborn of the spirit world, the youth, the adults, the elders, the ancestors, the loa, the forces, the cosmic forces, such that the entire community, the village, the circle of life is present. And therefore, their wisdom, their strength, and their power is summoned as we move north, south, eastward to populate the globe, and even westward as a result of the great Ma'afa. Libation traveled with us. African culture traveled. Our spiritual and belief systems traveled. Our drum and dance and songs and steps, they traveled with us. And yes, our Orisha, our Abason, our Lucy, Netzer, Loa, the ancestral and spiritual wisdom traveled and are here with us and for us now when we choose to remember again that our medicine and our healing is in our culture. And that is why libation is essential, for we lose when we cease to remember, when we throw away our ancestors with the bath water. Our babies, indeed, our future suffers. There is and can be no Sankofa without honoring our past as the basis for the future we seek. So honor our ancestors, honor our history, honor our way, lest we die. For in the words of Virago Jope, just as our ears were deaf to their cries, to their wild appeals, they have left on the earth their cries for us blind, deaf, and unworthy children who see nothing of what they have made in the air, on the water, where they have traced their signs. And since we did not understand our dead, since we have never listened to their cries, if and when we weep gently, gently, if and when we cry roughly of our torments, what heart will listen to our clamoring, what ear to our sobbing hearts? So we pour and we speak libation as an act of remembrance, respect, recognition, reverence, renewal, return, reawakening and restoration. Indeed, as acts of retribution and revolution, for we live in a society and we live at a time when forgetting is the wish and denying the relevance, the power, the mattering of African and black humanity is the norm. Sadly, even for far too many of us. So we pour and we speak libation as our own personal and collective quest for our own self-reparation, because repairing the African spirit starts with the pouring, the speaking, the living of libation. That is its purpose. We are instructed by our ancient ancestors in the book of Ani to pour libation for our fathers and mothers who rest in the valley of the dead. We must not forget to do this even when we have been torn away from home, for as we do for our parents or not, our children will do also for us or not. We pour and we speak libation for the indomitable fighting spirit we seek to resurrect, that we may continue our pursuit of black life, that is liberation, independence, freedom, empowerment. We dare call it justice for our ancestors and our children's future. And we pour and we speak libation in honor of those ancestors who left us a legacy worthy of honor. We pour and we speak for those who have contributed to our lives in ways we know and appreciate, and in the countless ways we have yet to understand, and in many ways we may never even know. We pour and we speak for the mother father of civilization, the nation builders, the concept creators, the freedom fighters, the warriors, the educators, those who escaped and those who stayed, those who fought and those who hid, those that roared and those that cried, those who held it down so that we may be lifted up, those who held us together so we could stand on our own. We pour and we speak for those whose struggles lay the foundation for the world's greatest diaspora, which will be great once again when we remember to love ourselves. We pour and we speak for those who have poured into us, filling us with the instincts, the insight, the intuition, the intelligence, the instruction that guide us forward, and that we will pass on to the beautiful ones not yet born. And we pour, we speak, and we live for the beautiful children not yet born, hoping that our living, our contribution to their future will one day be worthy of remembrance, respect, recognition, and reverence. And since we have your ear and we have your presence, we ask for African power, power to heal, overcome, become whole and exemplary and sovereign. Once again, Ashe, Aluta Continua, Uhuru Sasa, Black Power, Ubuntu, I am we, and we are one. So let the healing begin. Let our healing continue.
Greetings. Good afternoon. Welcome to Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari. I am Brother Shamari, and today, as usual, so much to say, so little time. So we're going to jump right in, have an action-packed show scheduled today, which I'll give you an overview of right after and immediately after we get our elders' permission to speak. And our elder in residence is the Right Reverend Joseph Williams.
Good afternoon.
At Mount Airy United Fellowship Church.
Amen,
Williams,
amen.
greetings.
Good afternoon, Brother Samari. March on. Let me say real quick and I'll get off. Dr. King Day coming up Monday, and I ain't painting no buildings. I'm not going to send children out to clean nothing. And I told the man who was behind it to his face, the Mickey Mouse deal. Now, I'm through with that one. Last Wednesday was a carbon copy of what's happening then and what's happening to us now. Lynch mobs are not new to black people. Stealing and breaking into place and taking what you want, that's their mode of operation. It has always been that way. It just showed the world. It was televised. And, you know, when we would travel in the South, when I was singing, we would get a ticket from a state trooper for driving too slow. And then when you went the next day to pay the ticket to the justice of the peace, he would be the same man that gave you the ticket. So that's the name of that tune. So thank God for you, Brother Samari. I'm not going to say any more, but I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Before you hang up, Rev, I want you to say some more. Before you hang up, I want you to say some more because you're saying, and let people know how old you are. You're in your 80s, right?
I'm 82.
And you're saying that this is nothing new, but yet everywhere I turn and listen, Black people particularly, all the Black news outlets, radio outlets, this radio station is acting like this is something that we have never seen before, and it's tragic and traumatic. And we're going to have a conversation today, even following up on it, all throughout the day.
Yeah.
So tell me, explain that to me. Explain why this idea on one hand for Black people, this is nothing new. We should have seen it coming. But then on the other hand, we act as if this was an extraordinary phenomenon that's taken the world by storm.
Well, like Dr. Reggie Bryant's grandson told him one time, I tried to tell you, we're in a state of denial. Listen, it's not anything new about stringing somebody up and say, in a cowboy picture, they say, come on, boys, we're deputizing everybody. Let's get them, boys. String them up. That's the way it was done. A Black man was lynched every day for a long time, and nobody ever went to jail for stringing them up and lynching people, breaking into places, burning down Rosewood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street, and all that. So, when we don't know our history, or make believe we don't know it, or don't want to know it, that's the trouble. Most Black people, I have a good friend of mine who was a pastor of a real big church here, Brother Samari, and the people told him one Sunday, hey, Rev, stop teaching about that history stuff. We don't need to know the facts. Let's preach. Don't bring all that stuff up. And that's what's wrong with us. I don't know why they don't want to hear about what has happened to us, and it's still happening to us. Anybody that would rape your grandmother and kill little kids and do like they're doing and go to war and kill innocent people, tell me it didn't happen. That's how they operate. To me, it didn't happen.
So are we struggling because we've been delusional up to this point, like we've forgotten? I mean, it can't. It seems like we were telling ourselves a lie, and then all of a sudden last week, the lie, Toto ripped the curtain off the wizard, and we seem a little surprised.
That's what happened. We're in a state of denial. So it didn't happen. Tell me it's not so. The emperor has no clothes, but the emperor been naked the whole time. So stop it. Well, that's what I said. I got to encourage you. You're a young guy. Keep doing what you're doing. But boy, I don't know what it's going to take folks. Ray Charles ought to have been able to see these people are vicious. They will kill you. Don't you understand that? They're playing. They don't have no rubber bullets. They got real bullets. They'll hang you up and all that stuff.
I think part of the concern I have, Red, in this fearful moment, to be honest with you, I think that a lot of the fear and the sadness and the uncertainty that our people are expressing in a moment like this is indicative of the fact that we don't really have knowledge, belief, and trust in ourselves to actually protect ourselves in this moment. And that to me falls on a lack of belief in the presence of our warriors, our strong men and women who understand in a moment like this, the last thing you could do is let fear, insecurity, and anxiety overwhelm you, because that makes you easier prey for the lion. And we need to really do some disciplined organizing that I don't think our people want to do because we love sentiment so much.
We're wimps. We're punks. And I'm north, that's what they would call it. We want somebody else to do it for it. Ain't going to happen. Ain't nobody going to save us from it but us. The same people that lied to you about history in school, the same people went down to Washington. That's the same wickedness in high places. Man, they had cops that went down there from a lot of different towns to be a part of that.
Yeah, your teachers were down there. Your same people probably teaching your children were probably down. I mean, but again, like you said, this is our normalcy. They've been in place. It's not like they new recruits. So, I'm just trying to understand why we're succumbing to the very reality. Our grandparents and our great grandparents and our mothers and fathers have figured out how to deal in this moment and actually win. And we act like we just overwhelmed by what reality has always been. So thank you, Elder, for bringing that sense to our conversation.
Can I say one last thing, Doc?
Yes, sir.
The young man that killed them people in the church, 9 people at prayer meeting, they took him to McDonald's, Burger King afterwards.
Right.
They never beat him up.
Yeah, we act like we forgot that, right? Dylan Roof.
Yeah, one of the guys that was in that thing on last Wednesday, mother told him that her son has to eat organic food. He can't eat prison food. and they're going to give him organic food. I don't know if you knew that at all.
Well, no, it's things like that, though, Rev, that we got to forget in order to be surprised by this moment. Like, we got to forget, Dylan Roof. We got to forget that earlier in the summer they had, some supposedly black militia marching down the street with guns and rifles. In fact, that the National Guard and everybody stood by and watched them. Like, the same people who are conjuring all of this stuff are conjuring both sides of the equation, and yet we get caught up in this dumb behind either or dynamic about it. But, that's just me. I'm going to be quiet right now because I'm trying to be a good radio host.
Pray for me. Goodbye. That's it. Bye-bye.
But again, y'all, order of chaos. Order out of chaos, or really from chaos comes order. Study what that really means, because that's what's happening right in front of us right now. We're being conjured, and we're being conjured because we operate primarily from feelings, from fear, from emotions, and there's nothing wrong with those. But if you don't take those and subject them to a disciplined process of thinking and consideration, then they begin to override your actions and your thoughts and your beliefs. And right now we're operating in a space where fear, insecurity, anxiety, frustration, trauma, whatever word you want to put on it, is overriding us in a moment when we need clear, analytical, strategic decision-making. Yeah, you can't go into any fight mad. You can not like your opponent, but you can't go into the fight mad because you're going to lose the fight, because madness, emotion, fear override strategy. And right now, as a people, we better get our strategy right, because they're implementing theirs. And I think that we're still running around dazed like the roaches when they turn the lights on. Marcus Garvey affirmed the idea of race first, but we act like it's race only. There's a lot going on that we're not seeing and paying attention to because we're fixated on this idea of race as solely skin color. And the idea of race and racism is a lot deeper than that. If we're going to really flourish and so thrive in this moment, we have to become a deeper thinking people than we're acting and being right now. So today we're going to delve deep. When we think of we, what do we think about? We're going to have this conversation after our commercial break. We're going to be engaged from a global diasporic perspective. Yinka Adegoke, who's the editor of Quartz Africa. Mako V. Neal, the editor of the Haitian Times. And Miltra Kalita, who is the publisher of Epicenter and author of My Two Indias, will join our conversation to give us a sense of a holistic, comprehensive diasporic view on the happenings that are taking place right here in America and how they impact us here at home, quote unquote, and abroad. Looking forward to that conversation. But I also want to remind you that today is actually the day that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was born. It is his birthday, January 15th. Often we, get it conflated with the holiday, and we only remember his birthday whenever they tell us it's time for us to engage in service and holiday. And this year is January 18th. But I want to close out and go into commercial with a little holiday, happy birthday shout out to Martin Luther King. I want y'all to contemplate what happens when we give away our story and let other people determine when and how we celebrate, remember, acknowledge, know, believe, trust in our own history and people. We'll explore that more on Sunday. But today, let's talk about the insurrection at the Capitol, or whatever you think happened. Looking forward to this conversation. Stay tuned. Happy birthday, Dr. King.
to have a world party on the day you came to be. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I just never understood how a man who died for good could not have a David Wood. He said, aside for his recognition, because it can never be, just because some cannot see, the dream is clear as he, that they should make it become an illusion, and we all know everything that each different time will bring, or in peace our heart will sing, thanks to Martin Luther King. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Why has there never been a holiday? Where peace is celebrated all throughout the world. Time is overdue for people like me and you who know the way true is love and unity to all of God's children. Should be afraid of it, and the whole day should be spent in full remembrance of those who lived and died for the oneness of all people. So let us all begin. We know that love can win, but I shall hold it in. Say it loud as you can. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy We know the key to unity of all people is in the dream that you had so long ago that lives in all of the hearts of people. Believe? We'll make the dream.
Announcing the Black Words Book Club. Word Radio's new monthly conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. The next book for February is Long Time Coming, Reckoning with Race in America by Michael Eric Dyson, a New York Times bestseller that traces the roots of racism from slavery and Jim Crow to police brutality. Be sure to listen live as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Defina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it, February 9th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention for Word members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Defina. Defina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
I would like to play a little tune I just composed not so long ago.
Hey family, do you like hearing the best jazz selections aired by 3 of the best jazz announcers in Philadelphia? Well, tune in to 96.1 FM,
96.1 FM,
and 900 AM, WURD Radio, independent black media, for Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Freedom Sounds of Jazz.
Hear Freedom Sounds of Jazz 10 p.m. Fridays with your hosts in rotation, Aquila, Jonathan Bay, and David Fritz. That's 10 p.m. Friday nights on WURD 96.1 FM and 900 AM, independent black media.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
Well, maybe even a lullaby that she used to sing to me when I was just a little boy. It was a... well, the song that she sang was tender. Yes. It was it's a beautiful, soft little number. We'd like to do it for you now. Yes. Y-E-D. Gotta make this quick. Gotta make it stick. So much say, so little time. So big it's all I got about a minute. Ain't I propose? And I just made so it can't jazz. I mean, there's no time for such as that. So much say, so little time. You can enter them, don't be ready. You gotta keep the drive. Rules are tempted, but it was tempted from the rich life. So much say, so little time.
Just take a minute.
We have that much time that we have, so much to say.
And welcome back to Groundings, Evolutions, Elevations with Brother Shamari, and we're about to, it is so much to say. That was take 6, by the way. I'll be featuring that song all throughout the day because there's so much to say and so little time. And so, you know, we have radio time and we got to fit all of these big diasporic global level conversations into 3 small segments. So I want to jump right in. And to help us have this conversation, I want to welcome 2 guests, and I want them to introduce themselves. Brother Yinka, Sister Mitra, introduce yourselves. Let's start with Sister Mitra. Who are you that our listening audience know?
Well, thank you for having me, Shamari. I love your show. I am the publisher of a newsletter and community movement called Epicenter NYC. We launched in the middle of the pandemic when it looked like nobody was going to come help us in Queens, and so we decided to help ourselves. And I've been in mainstream media for 20 plus years and just left. My last job was at CNN. I'm also an author. I wrote a book called My Two Indias, which is about the opening up of Indian markets and how India was becoming more westernized in its approach, which might be a little of what we talk about today.
All right. And Yinka, let us know who you are.
Hi, I'm Yinka Adiguke. I'm the Africa editor of Quartz. And Mitra has been very humble there. She brought me on board to Quartz when we started. So the publication is Quartz Africa. It